Hey guys, what is up? Take a minute, stop for a second. Just be aware that you're breathing. Okay, this is an invitation. This is an invitation. Just bring your awareness to your breathing. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to change anything in this moment. Other than to maybe stop what you're doing for a moment and bring your attention to the fact that you're breathing. Maybe you want to be aware of your breathing by way of noticing the sensation of like air coming in your nose or out your mouth. Or maybe it's the rise and fall, anywhere, any way bodily that you can be aware of your breath. Just bringing the awareness to the breath. How's it going, guys? I'm Tom Kirkham, Big Island, Hawaii. Great to have you here. This is really a meditation that anyone can do. I want you to know that. If you think you can't meditate, that's not correct. I promise you can. You can. You can practice meditating. And this is all it is. Are you still being aware of your breathing right now? If not, that's totally cool. I wasn't either. I forgot about it for a second because I was talking to you. And so then let's come back to that breathing now. And that's all it is. That's the practice. Bring your awareness to your breathing somewhere in your body. Take a moment to exhale fully. Now, just keep doing that. And when thoughts, emotions get your attention, feelings in your body get your attention, don't push them away or anything. Just keep being aware of your breathing too. And at some point you may notice, you may have this awareness, oh, I stopped being aware of my breathing. And that's the meditation, is that moment when you have that awareness and then you start being aware of your breathing again. And that's all it is. Notice what comes up. Notice if there's any self-judgment about that. If there's any hint or feeling or even a thought that you notice of like, oh, I did it wrong, or whatever it is, when you stopped being aware of your breathing. You didn't do it wrong. This is the practice. This is what happens. You can do this in like a seated position, a sitting meditation. And when you practice this, you can start to carry it through your day. You start to train your mind to go, oh, I wasn't being aware of my breathing. And then you do it, and before you know it, maybe sometime that'll happen when you're in a stressful situation. You'll become aware of your breathing. Maybe you'll even remember to exhale fully. Which, by the way, studies show decreases pain or the perception of pain, and can be very helpful in stressful, painful situations. And so just teach yourself this. Just teach yourself to remember every chance you get to bring your awareness back to your breathing. And then there are practices that you can add into that. But just start with this. This could be a whole lifetime meditation practice. And if you think you can't meditate, like this is the simplest thing. You're not meditating if you think. Meditating is a word that means different things to different people at different times. And there's certainly different stages of it. But what I'm really referring to is meditation practice. You're practicing meditating by doing this. And it's just that awareness of breathing, okay? And so I hope that's helpful. It's been really helpful to me. I do this all the time throughout my whole life, and it's been a part of what I consider growth, maturity, which is really kind of a funny thing in a way, because in some ways maturity just happens, and in some ways we don't really change at the level of personality, except for the fact that we become more aware. And so this is it to me. This is the practice throughout my life of becoming more aware And this helps me in my relationships and everything else. And speaking of everything else, health has become really important to me over the last 7 to 10 years. I got really ill about 10 years ago, and I mean, gosh, it was so bad that I wanted to die, kind of, except I didn't want to die. I mean, but if I would have had it in me, I would have wanted to, if that makes any sense. I had this feeling that I don't want to live like this, but I had enough also of the will to live, so that I wanted to get better from that feeling. I wanted to stop feeling that way, but if I had kept feeling that way forever, I really don't know what I would have done. And, doctors didn't know what to do for me, and like with a lot of chronic health issues that we have in our society today, doctors either, you don't get a diagnosis or there's no cure. They say there's nothing they can do. So given there was no cure, there was no diagnosis, I focused on my holistic health. And that's just been such an amazing thing in my life. It's brought me joy and happiness, and it's brought me back to feeling like I have a life again. And so I want to share with you today 6 health and nutrition tips that are actually evidence-based and that I've used over this journey of my holistic health. Here's the first one, ready? Limit sugary drinks, guys. Limit sugary drinks. In fact, limit all sugars, whether it's drinks or whatever. I just pulled up these tips off the internet and it says limit sugary drinks, just as a reminder to myself, and that these are evidence-based, but really limit all sugars. And I don't have hardly any sugar other than some that comes from fruit, a little bit that comes from fruit. And there are some alcohol-based sugars like xylitol that have not carbon footprint, carbs. I wanted to say carbs, I started to say carbon, but they have 0 net carbs, and so which means they're an alcohol-based sweetener. It's not like an artificial sweetener. It's an alcohol-based sweetener. The second tip is eat nuts and seeds. This has been a great one for me as well, particularly pumpkin seeds, because pumpkin seeds have like anti-parasitic properties. You can put some sea salt, or you can buy sea salted pumpkin seeds. Sea salt is also really great for you. Bonus tip, much better than the table salt. And this is great for parasites. I found it great for moving things, creating regular bowel movements. Eat a bunch of pumpkin seeds. And really great. And a non-triggering food if you have a lot of food sensitivities, unless pumpkin is one of them. I found it really non-triggering. Sometimes when you have food sensitivities or allergies, other foods can get paired with that. So if you've eaten things paired with it, with a food that you're sensitive to, then you start being sensitive to that food. And I found pumpkin seeds is one that really doesn't apply to pumpkin seeds, and so they're great. Especially if you're really trying to get out of some health crisis where you're really sensitive to things. If you're trying to get your bowel movements regular, like I said. And so I want to check the live feed here. I had my phone ring while I was doing the live, so I wanted to check and see if I was still live, and I am. Really appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Feel free to reach out to me in Messenger by way of this page, or you can find me on Tom Kirkham. You can find my own page, but you can reach out to me here. And so, avoid processed foods. Next tip: avoid processed foods. And this is actually on the dietary recommendations that I hand out to people when they're dealing with illness. And actually, all of these so far are avoid processed foods. Things that are healthy typically don't come in a package. I mean, there's a range, there's a spectrum, and I certainly eat certain things that come in a package. I read the ingredients very carefully. A lot of times, processed foods, even if they're stuff from the health food store, I notice the oils, they have things like the safflower oil, which is, it'd be better if it was like olive oil or, something, grass-fed butter if you do dairy, but the things like safflower oil, sunflower oil, vegetable oil, those tend to be carcinogenic, okay? And so there's a lot of reasons other than that, but that's a big one, that you want to avoid processed foods, guys. Avoid processed foods. Okay. The next tip That was tip number 3. Next tip number 4, feed your gut bacteria. So important. Feed your gut bacteria. When you're feeding your gut bacteria, you want to do it away. Like, for example, if you're taking probiotics, you want to take them away from any antimicrobial stuff that might be in your diet. So that's like garlic and ginger and things like that. Those are antimicrobial. Oil of oregano, things like that. Or if you're on antibiotics, you want to plan your day in such a way, or if you have a flow of your day, create your flow in such a way that the probiotic things that you take, I'm going to talk more about what those are as far apart in time from when you have the antimicrobial things as possible, okay? And if you're taking some antibiotics or something 3 times a day, that can be challenging, but just take it in the middle in between them. And so there's things like fermented foods, and I know a lot of people say diets say avoid fermented foods. That's to some extent maybe helpful, like alcohol and things like that are fermented. But things that are fermented that I know are healthy, I want to have. Like, for example, kimchi, which is a like fermented cabbage thing. It's kind of like a sauerkraut type thing, or sauerkraut. These are fermented foods that have probiotics. What I really like is effective micronutrients, which is if you go to our website, it's connected to this page, and you go to the blog, you'll see an article about effective micronutrients and how you can get just a little starter and then you can make them for yourself, very inexpensive. And so this is something that is multiple purpose. You can use it to create healthy soil for yourself. And hey, healthy soil, healthy body is what I think. But I have friends that are farmers that they spray this stuff on their crops and they drink it with every meal, and they say it's like an apple a day type of thing, right? It keeps you healthy. Keeps you healthy. So effective micronutrients is the best kind of probiotic that I've found. And so reviewing the tips we had so far, we had limit sugar, we had eat nuts and seeds, we had avoid ultra processed foods, and feed your gut bacteria. Number 5, sleep hygiene, guys. Sleep hygiene. By the way, are you paying attention to your breathing? I am not. Or I was not, but I just remembered, and I did for just a moment. And that's how the meditation can carry throughout your day. So taking a breath. And so get enough sleep. And sleep hygiene is more than really just getting enough sleep. It's like, and it's hard maybe sometimes for those of us who like to have a flow and not a schedule. I think you need at least 5 hours. Even if you're someone who doesn't like to sleep, you need at least 5 hours interrupted if possible. And if you're not getting that, or if you feel like you can't get that, feel free to reach out to me. I'll give you some more tips. Okay, just reach out to me in Messenger and I'll tell you this stuff. No big deal. I'll give you some more tips on how to do that. A few quick tips, have no screen time for an hour before you hit the pillow. Have a room designated where you sleep and you don't do other stuff like watch screens and things like that. Make it dark, make it cool in there if possible, and get under some nice covers. Okay, so I'll give you some more tips if you're still having trouble with that. Reach out to me. And then tip number 6, stay hydrated. And what I like to do is put a little bit of Himalayan sea salt in my water to taste. I mean, I like to put it just where I can taste it. You can do it a little bit less than where you can't taste it. And a little squeeze of lime or lemon in with that water. And that's a really inexpensive way that you can get electrolytes and stay hydrated. One thing that happens when we get dehydrated is that when we drink water, it just keeps us dehydrated. It's washing all the electrolytes and minerals out of our body. And so you're not really in a state of hydration when you don't have minerals also in your body, along with that H2O. Okay, so I hope that's helpful, guys. If this is helpful, please give me a like, give me a comment below, let me know your thoughts. All opinions are welcome, okay? I want to hear from you. And if you've watched this far, I appreciate you so much. And appreciate yourself for taking some time to focus on health and wellness and learn a little bit about meditation. And so, aloha, have a wonderful day. I will see you guys on the next video. Thank you so much.